The bigger problem is, you go out to the 10-year rates, and they're in Germany, they're negative, I think 18 now or something of that, maybe not today, but Japan negative. I don't, it's a policy that I struggle with. I struggle with because I do believe it's creating more harm than help. On the other hand, let's be clear, the central bankers have been the only game in town. They have been the bold citizens of the world. Now they need to be much more vocal on getting government, who have abdicated in most countries any responsibility for growth. Whether it's, in our Congress, we haven't gotten much done, or what's going on in parts of Europe. We need a growth strategy, and the only way I know we're going to be able to do a growth strategy is through some type of fiscal policy for infrastructure. Many countries of Europe have actually too much infrastructure, like a France, so it can't help there. But a UK, a Germany can help. And obviously in this country, we spend the lowest percent of GDP of any major country in the world in terms of GDP for infrastructure. So we're going to need to have the same type of policies going forward. But for this moment, with the Brexit, I think the Cameron government has to start focusing on the anger, or the 40+% who is going to be voting to leave.
Larry, is it just policymakers, or if you have actual deflation and you just let interest rates equilibrate where they go to give you a real return, a normal real return, aren't there times when that rates go to negative based on where inflation is?
Well, I think rates are going negative artificially by the purchases of all the bonds by all these central banks.
But if you look at the inflation rates where they're the most negative, where the yields are the most negative, that's where inflation is the lowest, and you do the actual returns, and there's still a net positive return, because inflation is usually deflation is even lower than
no, because that may be. If there is deflation, and yet there's no deflation yet, I mean, we're still sitting with modest inflation. But if you are right that we have deflation, yes, it should impact the short end. But when it goes out to the 10-year point of the curve, I don't buy this.
But if you've got rates below inflation, that's supposed to cause people to actually do things in it. But I don't know, to actually spend, and it's not really.
My view is we could debate all we want whether
but you think it's policymakers. You don't think that it's actually a reflection of the actual economic background.
I think right now we're at a point in time where technology is transforming our job market, and we need to have for government spending to mitigate some of the lost.
But Keynesians want to spend all the time, so I'm not surprised you're saying that again.
But I do believe you could do public-private. So one of the things that we have been advocating is a public-private type of financing vehicles.